Welcome to Miss Scarlett. Subscribe and don't miss out on Patreon. Have fun! Friday night's festivities had commenced, and with it, a playful bet between close roommates. The loser faced a salon appointment at the luxury parlor in town for an image revamping. César, brimming with confidence, assumed his poker face, assured that victory lay within his grasp. Destiny had something else in store. Once the final cards graced the table, Roman gleefully exposed his hand, a full house. César's jaw dropped, staring at his own meager 2-pair in awe.
"You're having me on,"
stuttered César. Devon, undoubtedly amused, spoke up.
"That's the rules, mate. See you at the salon tomorrow."
That night, dreams turned into a feverish union of anxiety, picturing mockery and shame. Morning arrived with unforgiving brightness, and César dragged himself out of bed, hoping his roommates had forgotten the bet in their alcohol-induced haze. "Rise and shine! Salon appointment at 11!" Roman's voice boomed through the apartment. César groaned, burying his face in his hands.
"Can't we just forget about this?"
"No way," Devon replied, shoving a cup of coffee into César's hands. "We've already booked the appointment under the name Jayla. Thought it had a nice ring to it."
"You guys are the worst,"
César muttered, taking a reluctant sip of the coffee. The walk to Elegant's Salon felt like a march to the gallows. Nestled in the trendy part of downtown, its gleaming windows and sophisticated signage spoke of the high-end services within. César hesitated at the entrance, his heart thundering in his chest.
"Go on,"
Roman urged, pushing him forward.
"We'll be back to pick you up in 6 hours."
6 hours? César's voice cracked. "What the hell takes 6 hours?" "Beauty," Devon answered with a wink, before the two of them retreated, leaving César alone on the sidewalk. Swallowing hard, he pushed open the door. The interior of Elegant's Salon was a study in understated luxury. Soft music played over hidden speakers, and the air smelled of expensive products and fresh flowers. A woman with sleek auburn hair and impeccable makeup looked up from the reception desk. "Welcome to Elegance. Do you have an appointment?" Yes. Under Jayla." The name felt foreign on his tongue. The receptionist checked her computer. "Ah, yes. The complete transformation package. Your friends mentioned something about a bet?" Heat rushed to César's face. "Yeah, I lost a poker game." Instead of laughing or showing disdain, the receptionist's eyes softened. "Don't worry. We get these kinds of situations more often than you'd think. Our stylists will take good care of you." Before César could respond, a striking woman with auburn hair cascading down her back approached. Her name tag read, "Vivian, Master Stylist." "You must be our special appointment," she said, extending a hand with perfectly manicured nails. "I'm Vivian, and I'll be leading your transformation today." César took her hand hesitantly. "Look, this is just a bet. My roommates are jerks, and we're going to make you look absolutely beautiful anyway," Vivian finished with a smile that was somehow both professional and mischievous. "That's the best revenge, isn't it? To emerge so stunning they won't know what hit them." There was something about her confidence that eased César's anxiety, if only slightly. He found himself following her through the salon to a private area in the back, designed for complete makeovers. "First things first," Vivian said, gesturing for him to sit in a plush styling chair. "Tell me about yourself. What do you study? What are your interests?" "I'm studying architectural engineering," César replied, surprised by the question. I like designing things, seeing how they come together. Perfect. Vivian nodded, as if this information was crucial to his makeover. We're designing a new you today, even if it's just temporary. And like any good design, it needs to have integrity and authenticity. Another stylist joined them, introduced as Mila, specializing in makeup artistry, followed by Elena, the nail technician. What followed was a flurry of activity as the team discussed color palettes, style options, and facial structure as if Cesar wasn't even there. We'll start with hair, Vivian decided. I think auburn would complement your skin tone beautifully.
Wait, auburn?
Cesar interjected.
I thought this was just a wig situation.
Oh, it is, Vivian assured him. But we want the wig to look natural on you, so we'll choose one that enhances your features. Auburn has warmth and depth. It'll bring out your eyes. Before he could object further, Cesar was whisked away to have his own hair properly prepped and concealed. The sensation of having his head measured for a wig cap, followed by the careful fitting process, was utterly foreign. When Vivian returned with the auburn wig, Cesar was shocked by its quality. The hair looked completely natural, with subtle variations in color that caught the light.
This is hand-tied human hair,
Vivian explained, as she carefully positioned it on his head.
The finest quality. Your friends spared no expense. They're going to pay for this,
Cesar muttered, watching in the mirror as his appearance began to shift dramatically. Vivian laughed. That's the spirit. The wig transformation alone took over an hour, with Vivian meticulously styling the auburn locks into loose waves that framed his face. The effect was startling. Already, the person in the mirror looked different, softer somehow. Next came skincare and makeup, a process so thorough that Cesar lost track of time. Mila worked with the concentration of an artist, explaining each product and technique as she went. We're enhancing your natural beauty, she said, blending foundation across his jawline, not masking it. Cesar found himself oddly fascinated by the process. The methodical application of products, the careful consideration of color and contrast, it wasn't so different from the precision required in engineering. Your bone structure is actually quite feminine, Mila commented as she contoured his cheeks. High cheekbones, full lips. You're making my job easy. By the time she finished with his makeup, Cesar barely recognized himself. His eyes looked larger, more expressive, framed by long lashes and subtle eyeshadow that brought out flecks of gold in his brown irises. His lips were a soft pink, fuller than he'd ever noticed them being. Now for the finishing touches, Elena announced, taking his hands. The manicure was another new experience. The filing, the cuticle oil, the careful application of a base coat, followed by 3 coats of pale pink polish. Not too flashy, Elena explained, seeing his expression. Elegant, sophisticated, like you. Cesar couldn't help but laugh at that. I'm neither of those things. Jayla might be, Elena replied with a wink. The final phase of the transformation was clothing. A stylist named Morgan appeared with several options, explaining that they kept a boutique selection for special appointments like his. The floral sundress would be perfect for the season, Morgan suggested, holding up a garment in soft blues and greens. And we have a matching cardigan if you'd like a bit more coverage. Cesar stared at the clothing, reality crashing back in. I don't know if I can do this part. Vivian stepped forward, her voice gentle but firm. Remember, this is all part of the bet. If you're going to do it, why not commit fully? We've come this far. There was logic in her words that resonated with Cesar's analytical mind. Half measures rarely satisfied anyone. With a deep breath, he nodded.
Okay. The sundress.
The sensation of the soft fabric against his skin was odd, but not unpleasant. The dress hung differently on his frame than he'd expected, the cut cleverly disguising certain aspects of his physiology while accentuating others. The blue cardigan added a touch of modesty, and when he looked in the full-length mirror, the transformation was complete. Standing before him was Jayla, a woman with flowing auburn hair, tasteful makeup, pink nails, and a floral sundress with a blue cardigan. Gone was any trace of Cesar. "The final touch," Vivian announced, presenting a pair of low heels in a neutral tone. "A lady needs the right shoes." Cesar, or was it Jayla now, took the shoes with trembling hands. "I don't think I can walk in these." "Everyone says that at first." Vivian smiled. "We'll practice right here in the salon before you leave." Learning to walk in heels proved to be the most challenging part of the day. Jayla took tentative steps around the salon, guided by Vivian's patient instruction. "Heel to toe, smaller steps than you're used to, and keep your back straight." After several circuits of the salon, something shifted. The movements began to feel less awkward, more natural. There was a strange sort of power in the click of heels against the floor, in the way the dress swayed with each step. "You're a natural," Vivian praised as Jayla completed a turn without wobbling. "Thanks," Jayla replied, surprised by the softness of her own voice. She had unconsciously adjusted her tone to match her appearance. As the 6-hour mark approached, Vivian gathered the team for final adjustments, a touch-up to the lipstick, a spritz of setting spray for the makeup, a last check of the wig's placement. "Well, Jayla," Vivian said, standing back to admire their work. "What do you think?" Looking in the mirror, Jayla was struck by a peculiar feeling. Despite the surreal circumstances, despite knowing this was all the result of a bet, there was something about the reflection that felt right. The auburn hair caught the light beautifully. The makeup enhanced features she'd never appreciated before, and the outfit was undeniably flattering. Jayla began, searching for words. "I'm actually kind of impressed." "As you should be," Mila chimed in. "You look gorgeous." The sound of the salon door opening signaled the arrival of Roman and Devin. Their expressions of shock when they saw Jayla were precisely what the salon team had promised. Utter disbelief.
"Holy... Cesar?"
Roman managed, his eyes wide. "It's Jayla now," she corrected, surprising herself with the assertion. "At least for today." Devin circled her, shaking his head in amazement. "The bet was just for a makeover, not a complete transformation. You look incredible." There was a peculiar satisfaction in their reaction, a vindication of the day's experiences. As they prepared to leave, Jayla found herself lingering at the reception desk. "Is everything okay?" the receptionist asked. "Actually," Jayla said, the words forming before she fully realized what she was saying. "I was wondering if I could book another appointment. For next week, maybe?" The receptionist smiled, no judgment in her eyes. "Of course. Same services?" "Yes." Jayla nodded, ignoring the shocked expressions of her roommates. "Same everything." Outside in the early evening air, Roman and Devin bombarded her with questions.
"Another appointment? Are you serious?"
Roman asked as they walked toward campus. Jayla adjusted her cardigan, the motion already feeling natural. Why not? I actually enjoyed it. The salon team was amazing, and honestly, this isn't as uncomfortable as I thought it would be. But the bet's over, Devin pointed out. You don't have to go back. Maybe I want to, Jayla replied simply. The week that followed was unlike any other in her life. During classes, she was still Cesar, focused, practical, the same engineering student she'd always been. But thoughts of Jayla lingered. The confidence she'd felt in the salon, the strange rightness of the reflection in the mirror. When Friday rolled around again, Cesar didn't tell his roommates where he was going. He simply left the apartment in the morning with a small backpack containing a change of clothes for afterward, though even as he packed them, he wondered if he'd actually want to change back. The welcome at Elegant's salon was warm, as if he were a regular client returning for a standard appointment rather than a man exploring something new and uncharted. "Welcome back," Vivian greeted him. "Ready for round 2? Cesar nodded, a smile spreading across his face.
"Absolutely."
This time, the transformation felt less like a foreign process and more like a homecoming. The auburn wig was the same, but styled slightly differently, soft waves cascading over his shoulders. The makeup was similar yet refined, with Mila explaining that she'd adjusted the palette to better complement his natural coloring. "I kept thinking about your features all week," she admitted as she blended eyeshadow across his lids. "You have such gorgeous eyes. They deserve to be showcased." The nails were painted a deeper rose this time, and the outfit selected was a casual yet feminine ensemble. Dark jeans that hugged curves he didn't know he could have, paired with a flowing blouse in a soft green that brought out the warmth in the auburn hair. When Jayla emerged from the dressing room, the confidence she felt was immediate and unmistakable. There was no awkwardness in the heels this time, no hesitation in her movements. "You look even more beautiful than last week," Vivian observed. "More comfortable in your skin." "I feel more comfortable," Jayla admitted. "Is that weird?" "Not at all," Vivian replied. "Beauty is transformative in more ways than just the physical." Before leaving the salon, Jayla booked another appointment for the following week, and another after that. Each visit refined the look, each transformation feeling more authentic than the last. By the 4th visit, her roommates had grown accustomed to Jayla Fridays, as they called them. What had begun as a bet had evolved into something neither they nor Jayla fully understood, but they respected enough not to question too deeply.
"You're different when you're her,"
Roman observed one evening as Jayla returned from the salon, auburn hair catching the last rays of sunset through the apartment windows. "Happier, somehow." "I know," Jayla replied, settling onto the couch in her purple dress and cream cardigan. "I can't really explain it." "Maybe you don't need to," Devin suggested, surprising her with his insight. "Maybe it's just another part of who you are." The thought stayed with her through the night and into the following days. Was Jayla just another facet of herself, or was she something more? The lines between Cesar and Jayla began to blur, not just on Fridays, but throughout the week. She found herself growing out her nails slightly, taking better care of her skin, allowing her mannerisms to soften. It was during her 6th visit to the salon that Vivian broached the subject directly. "I hope you don't mind me asking," she said as she adjusted the auburn wig. "But is this still just about the bet, or has it become something more for you?" Jayla met her eyes in the mirror. "I think it's been something more for a while now. I just haven't known what to call it." Vivian nodded, understanding in her gaze. There's no rush to label it. Just know that whatever it is, you're welcome here, and we're happy to be part of your journey. That evening, after leaving the salon, Jayla didn't return to the apartment right away. Instead, she walked through the downtown area, comfortable in her navy blue dress and matching flats, the auburn hair now as familiar to her as any aspect of her appearance had ever been. She found herself at a small cafe, the kind of place where people lingered over books and conversations. Taking a seat by the window, she ordered a latte and simply observed the world passing by, wondering how many others contained multitudes the way she did. A voice interrupted her thoughts. Is this seat taken? Looking up, Jayla found herself face to face with a woman about her age, holding a coffee and a worn paperback. Not at all, Jayla replied, gesturing to the empty chair across from her. I'm Isabel, the woman said, settling into the seat. I hope I'm not intruding, but you looked so contemplative, like someone with a good story to tell. Jayla smiled. I'm not sure if it's a good story yet. It's still being written. Aren't all the best ones? Isabel responded, her eyes warm. I'm a literature major. I believe in the power of unfolding narratives. I'm an architectural engineering student, Jayla said, the truth flowing easily from her lips. I believe in solid foundations and the possibility of beautiful structures rising from them. Isabel's eyebrows raised slightly. That's a lovely way to put it. Are you working on any interesting projects right now? The conversation flowed naturally from there, touching on studies, favorite books, childhood memories of building sand castles and Lego structures. Not once did Isabel question Jayla's identity or appearance, accepting her exactly as she presented herself. As the cafe began to close, Isabel hesitated. This might be forward of me, but would you like to continue this conversation over dinner sometime? Jayla felt a flutter of panic mixed with excitement. I'd like that, but there's something you should know about me. Let me guess, Isabel said with a gentle smile. The auburn hair isn't your natural color? Jayla laughed, tension breaking. That's part of it. I'm in transition, in more ways than one. Isabel nodded, her expression open and accepting. Aren't we all, in some way or another? I'd still like to have dinner with you. They exchanged numbers, and Jayla walked home in a daze of possibility. When she entered the apartment, her roommates looked up from the television, taking in her thoughtful expression. Good day? Roman asked. Interesting day, Jayla replied, sinking into an armchair. I think I just agreed to go on a date. Devin's eyebrows shot up. As Jayla. As me, she corrected gently. Because I'm realizing more and more that Jayla isn't a costume or a bet, or even a separate person. She's just me, as I'm meant to be. The room fell silent for a moment before Roman spoke. So, what does that mean going forward? Jayla took a deep breath. I'm not entirely sure yet, but I think it means I need to talk to someone professional about gender identity, and I think it means I'll be Jayla more often than not. We've got your back, Devin said simply. Whatever you decide. Roman nodded in agreement. Though I feel like I should point out that this all started because you're terrible at poker. The laughter that followed broke the last of the tension, and that night, Jayla slept more peacefully than she had in years, the auburn wig carefully placed on a stand beside her bed, waiting for morning. The next few weeks were a whirlwind of self-discovery. Jayla began seeing a gender therapist, started growing out her natural hair, and gradually transitioned her wardrobe. The salon remained a sanctuary, a place where the external transformation that had begun as a bet continued as an affirmation of her internal journey. Vivian became not just a stylist, but a mentor of sorts, teaching Jayla techniques for makeup and hair care that she could do herself, helping her develop her own sense of style that was both feminine and practical for an engineering student. "You know," Vivian said during one appointment, as she trimmed Jayla's growing hair beneath the wig, "someday soon, you won't need this anymore." She adjusted the auburn wig, which had become a signature part of Jayla's look. "Your own hair is coming in beautifully." Jayla touched the wig thoughtfully. "I might keep it anyway. It's become special to me. The first thing that helped me see myself clearly." Her date with Isabel turned into a second, then a third. Their connection deepened as Jayla shared more of her story, and Isabel shared hers. Tales of coming out as bisexual to conservative parents, of finding her voice through literature, of believing in the power of authentic self-expression. "You know what I love about you?" Isabel asked one evening as they walked along the riverfront, hand in hand. "You understand that identity isn't static. It's a process of becoming." Jayla squeezed her hand, the rose nail polish catching the light from the street lamps. "I'm still figuring out who I am, but I know I'm more myself with you than I've ever been before." The semester continued, and Jayla found a rhythm to her new life. She excelled in her classes, her understanding of structural integrity informing her approach to rebuilding her identity. She joined a support group for transgender individuals, finding community and shared wisdom that helped her navigate the complexities of her journey. Roman and Devin remained steadfast allies, defending her when necessary, celebrating her milestones, and treating her transition with the respect it deserved. The bet that had started it all became an inside joke, a reminder that sometimes life's most profound changes begin in the most unexpected ways. 6 months after that first visit to Elegance Salon, Jayla stood before the mirror in her bedroom, studying her reflection. Her own hair had grown long enough to style, though it wasn't yet the length of the auburn wig she'd come to love. Today was special. Her first day attending classes fully as herself, without the security blanket the wig had provided. She wore a simple outfit, dark jeans, a forest green blouse, and comfortable flats. Her makeup was subtle, designed to enhance rather than transform. This was Jayla, as she truly was, not an exaggerated version created for a bet, but the woman she had always been beneath the surface. A knock at her door preceded Roman's voice. "You ready? We should leave soon if you want to grab coffee before class." "Just a minute," Jayla called back, taking a final look at herself. She reached for the auburn wig, running her fingers through the familiar strands before carefully placing it back on its stand. "Today's a natural hair day," she murmured to herself. "But thank you for helping me find my way." When she emerged from her room, both roommates looked up, their expressions warm with pride. "Looking good," Devin said with a nod of approval. "Thanks," Jayla replied, a confident smile spreading across her face. "I feel good." As they left the apartment, Jayla's phone buzzed with a text from Isabel. "Good luck today. Remember, you've always been this brave. The world is just finally getting to see it. Dinner tonight to celebrate?" Typing back a quick affirmative, Jayla stepped out into the morning sunlight. The campus pathways stretched before her, familiar, yet somehow new. She was the same person who had walked these paths before, the same mind that loved designing structures, solving problems, creating beauty from mathematical precision. But now, the external matched the internal, and the freedom in that alignment was exhilarating.
You know,
Roman said as they walked,
I never apologized for the bet, for putting you in that situation.
Jayla shook her head. Don't apologize. Some people spend their whole lives never finding their true selves. I found mine because of a bad poker hand and friends who pushed me out of my comfort zone. I'd say that's a win. The campus coffee shop came into view, and Jayla spotted Isabel waiting outside, a book in hand. Looking up, Isabel's face lit with recognition and something deeper, acceptance, admiration, affection. There she is, Isabel called, tucking the book into her bag and reaching out a hand. Jayla took it, their fingers intertwining naturally. Here I am, she agreed. Finally, completely here. The bet was long since settled, but what it had set in motion continued to unfold. A life lived authentically, a journey of becoming, a story still being written with each passing day. And as Jayla entered the coffee shop surrounded by the people who had helped her find her way, she knew with absolute certainty that she was exactly where and who she was meant to be.
Thanks for watching, my girlies! Be sure to check out Patreon for more!